The movie begins in Gotham City, where Bruce Wayne, a billionaire, enters a gala and the people are surprised by his attendance. Bruce talks to Alfred, his butler, over his earpiece, and Alfred says there isn't any crime going on. Selina Kyle enters the building and Alfred says she hasn't been involved in a crime in over a year. Nightwing fights some goons as he destroys their heroin shipment, and Bruce says he's going to talk to Selina. Bruce walks to Selina and asks her how she has been. Thomas Elliot, Bruce's old friend, walks to them, and Bruce says they were inseparable as kids. They decide to have a drink, but Alfred informs Bruce that Bane has abducted a child. Bruce excuses himself and Selina's eyes flicker as she receives a text. Bruce goes to his car, changes into his Batman suit, and goes to Dupree Industry, where Bane is holding the child. Commissioner Gordon puts the ransom money on a robot that takes it into the building. Batman enters the building and knocks out some guards. He frees the boy, but Bane emerges and attacks him. A fight ensues and Batman uses his Batarang to cut the pipes that supply Bane's venom. Bane falls to the ground as he gets electrocuted, and Batman tells the boy that his parents are outside. Lady Shiva emerges from the shadows and tells Batman that the League of Assassins has been in chaos. She says that an unknown intruder used the Lazarus Pit during the chaos and asks Batman if he knows anything about it. Batman says he will look into it. Gordon enters. They realize that the ransom is missing and see as Catwoman leaves through a window. Batman pursues Catwoman through the city as she runs with the ransom. She jumps on the train as it moves, and Batman uses his ropes to follow her. A strange man named Hush uses a sniper to cut the rope, and Batman falls from a high distance. He lands on the floor and passes out as he sustains severe injuries. Some men surround Batman and try to remove his mask but get electrocuted. Catwoman arrives and tells them to leave Batman alone. They try to attack her, but she beats them, and Batgirl arrives. She defeats the men and tells Catwoman to stay away from Batman. A fight ensues, but Catwoman leaves and tells Batgirl to take care of Batman. Catwoman takes the money to Poison Ivy, and Poison Ivy kisses her, which strengthens her control. Catwoman leaves the building and Hush suddenly appears. He reminds her of their deal, and she tries to attack him, but he says he will destroy the building with her plants. He tells her that he has a gig that can pay over 10 times the money she made, and she agrees to work with him. Alfred and the others examine Bruce and realize he needs surgery for the damage to his head. They decide to wreck one of Bruce's cars, so it seems like he was in an accident, and contact Thomas, who is a brain surgeon. Thomas successfully performs the surgery and tells Bruce he gained publicity from it. Bruce apologizes for being a bad friend and says he will do better. Bruce returns to the Batcave and tells Alfred he has to go to Arkham. Alfred suggests he uses a suit that has extra padding on the head, and tells him to avoid blows to the head. Batman arrives at Arkham as Amanda Waller moves Bane and says he has to talk to him. Bane suddenly breaks from his restraints, and Batman says he is using a venom that makes him immune to their tranquilizers. He gives Waller new tranquilizers that will work on Bane and asks her to stay back as he helps her capture him. Batwoman moves through Poison Ivy's lair and Bane enters. She tries to explain that she was under Ivy's control, but Bane tries to kill her. Batman emerges and uses a net to drag Bane out of the building. Waller's men then use the tranquilizers to knock him out, and they take him away. Catwoman tells Batman she wants to work with him, but he refuses. She then says she will give him the address of Ivy's goons, and she proceeds to kiss Batman as one of her demands. They attack the goons, and one of them says that Ivy moved to Metropolis. Lois Lane sits beside Clark Kent and says she has an interview. Bruce enters the building, and Lois takes him to the conference room as Clark's eyes flicker. Batman goes to Lex Luthor's house, and Lex gives him Ivy's address because she purchased a lot of plant material from his company. Catwoman goes to Ivy's house and pretends to still be under her control. Ivy sees that she is faking and attacks her with vines. She begins strangling Catwoman, but Batman emerges and saves her. Superman suddenly enters the building and they realize that Ivy is controlling him. She instructs Superman to kill them and he shoots his heat vision at them. Batman and Catwoman fall into a river and they make their way into the sewers. Batman puts on kryptonite knuckles, and Superman emerges as Catwoman leaves. He attacks Superman and knocks him down as he leaves the sewer. Superman follows Batman and grabs his neck, and Catwoman reveals to have abducted Lois. She pushes Lois off the roof of the building, and Superman snaps out of mind control and saves her. Batman goes to Catwoman and the others as they stand on a roof, and they go to Ivy's house. Catwoman knocks Ivy down and they tie her to a chair. They begin to interrogate her and she tells them that Hush hired her. Superman carries Ivy away and Batman tells Catwoman that she wasn't meant to push Lois off the roof. Catwoman says Superman was about to hurt him and she had to do something. They begin kissing and Hush watches from a distance. Later, Bruce prepares for a date with Selina and Dick Grayson makes fun of him. Harley Quinn feeds her pet hyenas as she wonders where the Joker is. And Hush enters the room. He shows her that he has abducted the Joker and says she'll have to work for him in order to set the Joker free. Bruce arrives at Selina's house and gives her flowers as he says she looks incredible. They open a bottle of wine and Bruce says he has been feeling the need to change some things. They go on a date to the opera and Harley emerges and knocks the singer down. Her goons move around, take the people's property, and she says she has to kill Bruce. She begins to shoot at him, and Bruce instructs Thomas to take the girls to safety. He jumps down the gallery as he knocks down several goons and begins running. Catwoman emerges and begins fighting Harley. Harley drops some equipment on her, but Batman catches her. Batman goes out of the theater and sees Thomas dead on the floor, and the Joker holding up a gun. He begins to beat the Joker and tries to strangle him, but Gordon emerges and stops him. Batman walks away and some officers apprehend the Joker. Bruce attends Thomas's funeral and is sad, but Selina walks to him and holds his hand. He goes to the Batcave and he and Nightwing realize that the Joker didn't kill Thomas. Batman says that Hush set everything into motion, and he knows that Bruce is Batman. Selina calls Bruce and he thanks her for comforting him at the funeral. Dick eavesdrops on their conversation and continues smiling as he says he didn't hear a thing. An alarm goes off and they see that the Riddler is driving around the city. Batman and Nightwing begin to pursue him and his goons shoot at them. Nightwing tells Batman that Selina's good for him and Riddler shoots them with a missile but misses. Batman then rams the van with the Batmobile and Nightwing begins fighting the goons. Batman follows Riddler into an alley and asks him where Hush is. He then sees Hush in a building and cuffs Riddler to a pole as he goes after him. Batman enters the building and Hush says he's the man who will destroy his life. He laughs as Batman punches several mirrors and Batman realizes he isn't in the building. He goes to Catwoman's house and asks her to leave town because Hush wants to harm the people he cares about. Selina doesn't understand what he means, and Batman decides to reveal his identity. Selina is shocked that Bruce is Batman, but she kisses him, and they make love. He then suggests that they go to her place since she isn't leaving town. He takes her to the Batcave, and Dick introduces himself. Alfred arrives with some snacks, and she realizes they all know who she is. Batman and Catwoman have fun as they fight crime together. Bruce sits at the dining table as he eats, and Selina walks to him. She takes some of his food and shows him a pamphlet about a vacation. Bruce says she can go and says that he has to stay in Gotham to find Hush. She tells him that Hush hasn't been heard from in a while, and eventually convinces him to go with her. Alfred walks in with a phone and says Gordon is on the line. Bruce talks to Gordon and he informs him that a silent alarm was triggered at Thomas's office. Bruce tells Selina and he says he'll have to go alone. Batman arrives at the office and looks through the computer as Gordon stands behind him. They realize that someone is looking for information on a brain tumor that's inoperable, and Batman says they're going to Arkham. Hush watches from afar and says it's time to execute his plan. Nightwing prepares to go on patrol and Catwoman says she wants to accompany him. They drive around the city and Nightwing asks Catwoman how it feels to date Batman. She says it feels incredible, and they hear a report that someone is breaking into the cemetery. They go to the cemetery and see that Thomas's grave is empty. Scarecrow emerges and attacks the duo. He uses his fear toxin on Nightwing, and Nightwing is scared of everything around him. Catwoman begins to fight him and eventually knocks him down. She walks to Nightwing and injects him with the antidote to the fear toxin. She takes him back to the Batmobile, and Alfred pilots it to the Batcave. Catwoman returns to the cemetery, but suddenly gets knocked out. Batman enters Arkham Asylum and they talk to Riddler. Riddler says Thomas operated on his brain tumor, but the operation failed, and he refused to let himself die. He found a way to take a dip into the Lazarus pit and says it helped him realize that Batman is Bruce. He then decides to take a new persona and tells Batman that everyone follows his rules. Batman attacks him and he reveals himself to be Clayface. Clayface hits him out of the cell and knocks him down. He then absorbs Gordon, but Batman uses water to dissolve him. Hush then tells Batman that he went to the cemetery to catch a bat, but was off by a letter. Hush takes off his bandages and tells Catwoman that they have to get started before Batman arrives. Hush tells Catwoman how Batman is deducing their location, and she slowly moves to a giant machine that grinds metal. Batman enters the factory and sees Thomas's body. He takes down Thomas's body and dodges some machine guns that shoot at him. Batman gets to Catwoman as she is about to fall into the grinder, and he helps her. He begins fighting Hush as he says he will prove he is superior to the other villains by killing Batman. Hush cuts Batwoman several times and asks him what he thinks of him, and Batman says he is insecure and doesn't pose a threat. Batman continues insulting him and begins hitting him. Catwoman frees herself from the weight that holds her down. Hush accidentally hits the control center, and it causes a series of events that make the factory catch fire. Hush overpowers Batman and says he wins, but Catwoman emerges and stops him. She and Batman work together to fight him, but Batman saves him as he is about to fall into the fire. Catwoman tries to stop him, but he tells her to leave, and she cuts the line. They then run out of the building as it explodes and land on a parking lot. Batman stares at the burning factory and says Hush didn't have to die. Catwoman says Batman is crazy, and she complains that he cares about his code too much. She says that she would have changed for him, but he won't do the same. She then tells him goodbye and walks away as the police arrive. The end. Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos, and please make sure to subscribe and tap the bell to be notified about our latest videos. See you next time.